afternoon, everyone. I am Ruchaita Siddharth on behalf of Logistics Insider, and I welcome you all to this curtain raiser event of IILSC, the first edition on the theme Indian Logistics Embracing Multimodal Revolution with Gati Shakti. With eyes set to make India a 5 trillion economy, the Modi led government on 31st October last year launched the PM Gati Shakti, a national master plan that will bring together all the stakeholders on an online platform to provide integrated planning and coordination for implementing infrastructure projects across departments. The master plan will bring synergy to create a world class, seamless, multimodal transport network in India, facilitate the last mile connectivity, provide a seamless infrastructure for cargo movements in India, and help bring India's logistics cost at par with its global counterparts. Aligning with this vision, the Logistics Insider and PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry have joined hands to organize a one of a kind event, the India International Logistics and Supply Chain Conference 2022. In partnership with Gemini Equipment and Rentals Private Limited, Skyways Group, Wizz Freight, and Gina and Company, the event will be held on the 9th of June 2022 at the PhD House in New Delhi. This on site event will see the confluence of policymakers, bureaucrats, industry leaders, exporters, importers, end users, and other key stakeholders as they debate and discuss about the most pertinent issues in the supply chain. We are closing delegate registration for the event soon. So if you wish to attend, please log on to www.iilscexcon.com to register for the event. You may also call us on the numbers provided. Now, coming back to our curtain raiser. Today we have with us the honorable moderators from each of the panels to give you a taste of the extravaganza that awaits us and they'll give us a sneak peek into what the audiences should expect from each session. So without much ado, I would like to call on screen Mr. Satish Lakaraju, Senior Vice President, Wizz Freight, who is the moderator of the first panel. A logistics and supply chain enthusiast, Mr. Lakaraju is a powerhouse skilled in negotiation, import and export, operations management, air and ocean freight, customs clearance, and a lot more. He has always been vocal and passionate about life sciences and patient safety and speaks in various forums in India and overseas. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
So you will be moderating probably the most crucial panel, the reduction in logistics, which is the need of the hour, something which the Gati Shakti master plan aims to achieve. I'm eager to hear you brief us about what the audiences should expect from your panel at the main event. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Racheta. My pleasure always to be speaking on industry forums for the last couple of years. And I guess the Indian International Logistics and Supply Chain Conference that's happening on the 9th of June at the PhD Chamber of Commerce is one more platform where we would like to address the most important issue is cost reduction in logistics. What the panel will try to do is to bring out much more in detail what we can do as a group in the industry through collaboration. One, two, what are the areas that can be addressed under the controllable and the non-controllable measures? Because what we need to understand is that today, while we might try to reduce cost in certain areas which are controllable, but things like war, things like pandemic, things like government policies sometimes are not within the fortunately under the frame of the logistics service providers. But we are keeping in mind that the consumer is the king. Consumer is one who needs to be taken care end of the day. And the more the cost goes up of the end product, it not only impacts various people, but it also impacts the business in a larger sense. So, what we will do during the panel discussion is that we are fortunate to have a very senior and distinguished panels who come in from background both from airlines, freight forwarding side, manufacturers, also people who've done a few initiatives in terms of how cost reduction can come. We will also touch base on the aspects of how technology can be brought in really, what innovations are possible and what these have done. But keeping in mind that cost reduction is not just one number that we are looking at, because we're keeping in mind that in the recent past, the government also discussed on the aspect of cost related to gross domestic product GDP, on which there has been a lot of wrong notions in the past. And fortunately, there has been clarity in the last couple of days. But what we will do in the session is that there is going to be a discussion which will be relevant in the back frame of PM Gati Shakti program. I know there is a lot being talked in the PM Gati Shakti program, but the unfortunate thing is that a lot of the people are not fully aware in terms of the master plan. It's a wonderful plan and a great government initiative, which will help a lot of people to address multi departmental issues that are currently there. It also gives an opportunity to create infrastructure, which is an important aspect, because good infrastructure will lead also to better efficiencies, and better efficiencies will lead to reduction in unwanted costs. So I think we're trying to bring in many things in that 90 odd minutes that we have, but we will try and come and summarize with a few more aspects which then we can carry it to the government in where areas are of collaborations are required. And the last thing that I would say is that multimodal is an important aspect. Even as of today, if you look at India as a country, we don't have a airport, a train station, a bus station, plus everything connected at one single point, which is connectivity and how you can convert air into ocean efficiently. So we will touch base many aspects on it, and I'm really looking forward for moderating this session on the 9th of June. And thanks to Logistics Insiders to put us all together at this point of time. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to showcase India as well. So over to you, Rachit.
Thank you, sir. I definitely agree with you that connectivity is something of utmost importance in the Indian logistics industry right now. And you have certainly been able to pique the interest of our audience, and we look forward to hear you speak at the main event. All right, so next, can we please bring on screen Miss Chaitali Mehta, Director EKF Global Logistics, who will be moderating the second panel of the event. Ms. Mehta, with 25 years of experience as a third generation customs broker and a second generation freight forwarder, is at the helm of all strategic business engagements at EKF Global. She was the first woman to join the business and holds distinct honor of being the first female director in the company. She inherits an ability as a natural problem solver and keen observer, allowed her to quickly learn the trade and carve out a niche for herself in this dynamic sector. Ms. Chaitali will be moderating the panel on the topic Building a World Class Infrastructure Connectivity Ecosystem, an aim that Gati Shakti wishes to achieve to aid the logistics sector and bring efficiency into the system. So, Ms. Mehta, could you kindly brief us about what the audience should expect from your panel at the main event?
First of all, good afternoon, Racheta. Good afternoon to everyone who's watching us. Thank you for taking time out on a Saturday afternoon, just before lunch, to join us. Honestly, what interested me was the fact is that we all keep talking about how logistics is important and how logistics now people have probably got like 5% of understanding of how logistics is considered to be the backbone of an economy. And one of the biggest complaints that we've always had is the infrastructure, the problems related to infrastructure, and the lack of infrastructure. I have seen a lot of changes that have happened in the last so many years being here for and I am very, very happy to be moderating this panel on courtesy PhD as well as the Logistics Insider, because infrastructure, like Mr. Satish very nicely put, if you have good infrastructure, it leads to reduced costs, which will lead to more optimization. And at the end result is going to be cheaper goods for the final consumers to buy. What I am looking out for is an honest opinion of our panelists who are so diverse, because they come from a range of manufacturers, FMCG goods, airports, airlines, and from the fraternity itself, that they would be able to give us a 360 degrees perspective on what they feel in their respective industries is lacking or has improved over a period of time. The word infrastructure has probably never been so used as much as it has been in the last 2 years, is because COVID has really shown us is that those who had the right infrastructure or had the foresight to invest in that infrastructure have literally sailed through, and the ones who struggled were the ones that who had poor infrastructure. There are so many things under the PM's Gati Shakti initiative that could be put to use. And of course, we all know, being in the trade, that there are still places, there are still lacunas happening, as a result of which the goods don't go on time, the supply chain is not in its right efficiency. We all know what is happening with the shortage of the chips, which are not available, as a result of which everything is expensive in terms of technology and electronics, whether it's your cars or it's your music systems or even your cell phones and laptops, as a matter of fact. So my idea is to try and bring out the importance of infrastructure by giving a perspective where we have already the pros available compared to what we were maybe even 5 years ago, vis-a-vis what is now required that we can become that world-class facility, is because while we may have a lot of things going good for us, is if everybody must be aware that our exports have grown tremendously, and that is something that we all have to be extremely proud about. But not many people would know that during the peak crisis there was a complete breakdown of the transport system. Now it's only the people who were in the transport industry and in the logistics industry would know how they managed to overcome the shortage and the shortcomings of that particular sector due to the infrastructure, lack of infrastructure, and yet managed to deliver life-saving drugs and a lot of other things that we were exporting at that point of time. So yes, infrastructure is very, very important. Our government is doing some amazing work. We have some really nice government officials who are all gung-ho about it, but there still needs to be a lot to do. So my perspective is only to bring out the best in terms of where we are today, where can we be tomorrow. But if we want to be at that place tomorrow, are all the stakeholders ready to do whatever it needs to be to improve their infrastructure? And how much assistance do we need from from the government to help us get there? Because we know that we can do a hell lot of things in India. With the Sri Lanka crisis, we are sitting at a golden opportunity to be able to be called as a transshipment hub, which is currently not happening for a lot of reasons. We have some amazing facilities that are coming up. Some of the best airports in the world are now in India with the kind of infrastructure that is probably not even available in those airports. So yes, I'm looking forward to bringing out all of that, and also understanding from our FMCG and from our direct clients who are part of the panelists, is that what would they feel when they are distributing their products, as to when we have issues on the road, when we have issues with e-way bills and things like that. There are so many new initiatives that the government has introduced, but has anybody ever asked the consumers, or has anybody asked the people who are who have to take part in those initiatives, as to whether it has been a smooth sailing for them, and whether they were taken into concurrence, and if they have to continue with it, what would they like to change in that? Because there are certain things which are now permanent and they have to continue with it. Thank you. Racheta?
Yeah, I'm here. Am I on screen? Yes, okay.
Yes.
So I was waiting to come on screen. Thank you so much, Miss Mehta, for giving us a look into what we can expect from your panel at the event. And you correctly mentioned, you shed light on the importance of the logistics infrastructure and how effective implementation is very important for the overall economic growth of our country. We'll be looking forward to hear you speak at the main event.
Thank you very much.
So now I would like to invite Mr. Chandranath Day, Head of Operations, Business Development, Industrial Consulting and Integrated Logistics India, JLL, to join us on the screen.
Thank
Mr.
you so
Day,
much. Yeah.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Day has 16 years of experience in industrial and logistics real estate. His roles include securing business across India and internationally for the industrial and warehousing asset class. His key experiences include nearly 180 plus projects spread across the country and abroad, including large scale port and airport related projects, industrial parks, SEZs, FTWZs, logistics parks, etc. Mr. Day will today help us to understand what we can expect from his panel on harnessing the potential of multimodal logistics parks. The stage is all yours, sir.
Thank you so much, Chaitali. And the third panel, of course, it's the name itself says harnessing the potential of multimodal cargo. While Chaitali and the previous speaker would speak on multiple different modes, primarily air, etc. My focus in the panel would be primarily mm, uh, to find out the multimodal logistic park focus from a rail as well as a waterways point of view. Some aspects which is working right now, what are the things that needs to be done by the government or already being done. Just for example, on a multimodal vision, if we have to fall back to the national rail plan, right, it says that from a current 27% rail share of cargo, in a certain period of time they want to take it up to 45%, right? And in that case, that there's a significant shift of cargo on from road to rail which will happen, and that is the only way to probably minimize the cost of logistics in a big way, because rail is at least 50% cheaper. Not only that, it is like we did some basic calculations also around logistic costs for different modes of transportation: rail, road, waterways, etc. What we saw that a cargo, say for example a sample cargo of 5,000 metric ton, traveling 1,000 kilometers, the costs are at least 45% higher in case of a road as against rail. That means rail based multimodal logistic parks would be at least 45% cheaper when it comes to transportation costs. Plus it is more faster because we are talking about trains which is achieving an average speed of 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, as against a road which India averages currently around 350 kilometers per day, keeping in mind all the roadblocks, night halts, all these things put together. So we are talking about supply chain in multimodal logistics, which is cheaper, which is faster, and sustainable as well. Imagine the case: a 2.5 rakes of train would typically mean at least 300 to 400 trucks on the road, taking them off the road and taking on the rail. The amount of pollution that can be reduced because they run on petrol or diesel, and then we are talking about electrically run trains. So it's faster, cheaper, sustainable. Why is that is the reason why it is going to be the future of logistics going forward. But what are the log jams right now, in the sense what's happening in the ground under PM Gati Shakti? What are the roadblocks which we're still facing? Why this has not still yet happened, right? We'll ask those policy questions as such as well. On the national waterway front, we will also touch upon why and how it is the cheapest mode of transport in terms of all modes available: road, rail, water, and air and water, right? So it is the cheapest. It is 10 times cheaper than probably road, right? So what's happening on the waterway front? What's happening in the first cargo, which recently Tata Steel did through our waterway, ODC cargoes? They're doing it most of it through the waterways. What are the challenges right now? We still there in the segment, even though we know the first cargo in the India-Bangladesh protocol route has started, but still there's a challenges around it. We'll ask those questions and understand this a bit more in details as such. We'll try to keep it more informative during the day. Look forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you, Mr. Dev, for giving us a peek into your panel discussion and helping us understand what to expect. It will be really interesting to listen to your panel discuss how Indian logistics can be transformed by leveraging rail and inland waterways for transporting cargo. We look forward to seeing you moderate the panel at the physical event. Thank you so much. Okay, last but not the least, now to discuss what the fourth panel of the event will hold, I'd like to welcome Ms. Smriti Sharma, Head Public Policy Operations at Amazon, on the screen. Ms. Sharma has earlier consulted think tanks and multilateral institutions on varied policy issues like technology and manufacturing for Apple, agriculture and health for National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, and the trade and global value chains for UNESCAP and the Global Value Chain Center of the Duke University. Ms. Sharma will be moderating the panel on the theme Strengthening the Last Mile for a Stronger Bharat, the last but probably one of the most important link of any supply chain. Ms. Sharma, please give us a sneak peek into what will be there included in your panel discussion.
Thanks a lot, Rachita. Namaskar, my name is Pritish Sharma and I head public policy operations for Amazon. You see, every e-commerce company at heart is primarily an infrastructure ecosystem enabler. The idea is to bring together the sellers, buyers, and logistics providers via technology. And at the heart of all this, the core is really the people who buy, people who sell, and people who enable these millions of transactions. So in that sense, an e-commerce company is no different from any other company. The session we are going to have on the 9th of June, where we're going to be talking about strengthening the last mile for a stronger Bharat. I'm going to be joined by esteemed colleagues, Avinash Tagat of Mama Earth, Ramkesh Jangra of Ericsson, Milan Chaudhary of Crave Infotech, Shaunik Goyal of MMTC PAMP, and Ashish Sikka of Ecom Express. And we're going to be talking about, like Rachita said, the most important leg of logistics, which is the last mile. Now, the reason why we say that, the last mile is the most important leg of logistics is because currently India is incurring the highest logistics cost, which is 14% in the world as a percentage of GDP. And the government is working very hard to bring it down to the best international standards like US and Germany, which incur only 8 to 9%. We had initially thought of 10%. We are now thinking of even going down further. But this is important, especially because when India envisions itself to be the greatest manufacturing hub, not only for its own people, but also for the world, the largest retail hub, these cannot happen. The development will not happen unless the manufacturers and the retailers are granted the access, either to the domestic market or to the global market, right? And the last mile is that crucial mile which ensures that the final gap between the seller, good, merchandise, and the customer is bridged. In fact, there is research I read in a PwC report that 86% of the buyers are willing to pay more for the products and services if they feel that their customer experience is great. And that turn is guided by the fact that 83% of the people want to know what is the delivery time of their parcel. So speed is important, reliability is important. However, these are the things that also provide us the challenges or the dilemmas that we have to deal with on a regular basis. Shall I ensure a faster delivery by rushing my associate, or should I be using more dark stores and micro warehouses? Should I be moving deeper into the in city limits? How do I plan for my visibility improving? Should I be trying for some effective route planning? Can I make sure that I can use technologies like RFID, live tracking, smart sensors, even drone deliveries without impacting the cost? Because you see, the entire premise has been to get rid of the inefficiencies in the market, the multitude of intermediaries which unnecessarily existed and slowed down the speed need to be removed, but it comes at a cost. And then, of course, there is the element of sustainability. We have to ensure that while this last mile is being bridged, the pollution and the congestion that it may add to does not happen. The footprint has to be cut down of the vehicles and the people that are going to moving into the cities even further. So can we use more green fuels? Can we use electric vehicles? And what are the trade-offs of that? And like I said, at the very, very core of it is people. And these people are not unskilled people, these are semi skilled people. But what is the available pool? And how do you take care of this gig economy that is gradually getting sucked into this big ecosystem and is also benefiting from it? And also the fact that these workers should also be deriving welfare from being a part of this big thing. So these are some of the questions we're going to be talking about. These are some of the discussions we are going to be having on the 9th of June. And I really hope that you'll join us there and have a great time with us.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sharma. This has been intriguing, and I'm sure that our audiences will be very much looking forward to the panel as you discuss improving the last mile in terms of performance as well as sustainability. So I thank all our panel moderators once again, all of us, and me especially. We will look forward to hear all of you speak at the main event. This has brought us to the end of an enticing curtain raiser for the IILSC conference, ensuring us a day full of insightful panel discussions on various challenges faced by Indian supply chain industry, the growth opportunities, the logistics cost reduction strategies, building a world-class connectivity infrastructure ecosystem, and harnessing the potential of multimodal logistic parks. And finally, understanding the new normal and how India can achieve the $5 trillion economy target by making the supply chains effective and efficient. As we proceed to the end of this curtain raiser, I'd like to thank our sponsors once more, Wizz Freight, Skyways Group, GARE, and CVSCL. To conclude, I would like to invite you all to the extravaganza that awaits us on the 9th of June at the PhD Chamber, New Delhi. And to reiterate, you may log on to www.iilscexcon.com to register for the event, or you can also give us a call. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a wonderful audience. Thank you so much, the moderators, for taking out time from your busy schedules. I wish you all a very good day ahead. Take care and goodbye.